All right, I have a question for you. What does Michael English, Clayton Inman, and Ivan Parker have in common? And the answer is
We all sang with the Singing Americans. That's kind of
Sang,
where we all got our start.
sang lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of
Um,
give us the timeline.
well, actually, Michael was already with the Singing Americans, and this would have been in 1982. And actually, I went with the Singing Americans March of 1982. And when Ed called me to join them, Michael, and see, I'd known Michael for years because I sang with my brothers locally there in Sanford, and hour and a half up the road, Michael and his family were singing in a group. We crossed paths just about the whole time we were growing up. And so Michael was leaving Singing Americans to go with the Happy Goodman family. And so I took Michael's place with the Singing Americans. And after being with the Singing Americans, I guess about a year, maybe a year and a month, something like that, I was working my notice because I was actually coming off the road. That was the original plans. I was going to come off the road. My oldest son Ryan, he was just a baby, and I just felt like I should be at home with him and Teresa. And so I was just planning on just coming off the road, just finding a job doing something else. And so during that notice, we did that concert in West Memphis, and we worked with a group called the Inmans. All these brothers were singing, and as we were standing, I was standing next to Ed Hill, and I pointed at Clayton and I said, "Ed, there's your singer right there." I said, "That's your man right there." And then after I left, that's when Clayton took my place with Singing Americans. Then, lo and behold, I think it was the last weekend I was working my notice with Singing Americans when Gold City approached me, and I got a funny story for you.
okay.
This would be a good one. So that weekend that we were actually singing, we were doing an awards program in Columbus, Georgia, and I forget what the awards program was back then. But we were doing this awards program, and so Gold City approached me and said, "Hey, our lead singer's leaving. Would you be interested?" And I said, "I don't know," because I was really thinking about coming off the road. Well, they gave me a couple of albums and said, "Take these home and listen to them, see what you think, and call us back." Well, I walked in the house, and Teresa, she was standing there, and I said, "Baby, I need you to hear something." And I said, "This group offered me a job this weekend, and I said, I need you to hear what they sound like and just give me your opinion." Well, it was actually the Live in Atlanta album that Gold City had just done.
Had In My Robe of White and songs like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I put that on, and Teresa she was listening to it. We weren't even halfway through the first song on that live record, and she said, "Turn it off." I said, "Why?" She said, "You're not going to do it. You're not going with this group." And I went, "Why?" And she said, "I'm not going to allow you to travel with a mixed group."
Really?
I love getting Brian with this.
I bet you do. Matter of fact, Brian's calling right now. Why did you have to tell that?
Yeah. I've told him several times, but she said
Now you need to tell the world. If you've told Brian, now we need to tell the world.
and it wasn't a female singer. It was Brian Free.
Wow. That's
That
great.
was when he was.
Hey, I had that album.
He had
I know
that little
exactly.
bitty voice and sounded like a girl. Still kind of does.
Yeah. Wow. On Heartwarming label.
Yep.
Yeah,
Heartwarming
still
label.
have the album, in fact.
And so anyway, I had to explain it to her, and And she went, oh. She said, I don't think I've ever heard a man sing like that.
Go ahead.
So, you don't have to edit that. You can keep that if you
Well,
want.
we'll keep that one, yeah, exactly. All right, so what was the first Gold City album with Ivan Parker?
I think I'll read it again.
Great album. There it was.
I think I'll read it again. I actually joined Gold City March of '83, and so as soon as I came with them, you know, they started getting songs together for us to go in the studio, and so think I'll read it again, right out of the chute.
Which went to
Shouting
number one.
ground.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which I think
on.
I'll read it again, went number one for
Mhm.
several months.
Hmm.
Was that their first number one? I
Um,
mean, we can look it up.
There, I think they
It's-
did have one that went. I think it had gone pretty high on the
Right.
chart.
Robe of White went to 2, I believe. We'll double check.
I
this,
think
but
it was their first number
I,
one.
I think it was.
Hey, folks, we're just friends. We're just having conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're just not as, it's just not as youthful as we once were, and we can't remember everything like we once did. You know, like Ivan and I just don't remember, and Rick doesn't either.
And besides all that, we weren't singing with the group, so we don't know. That's,
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think Robe of White went to number 2. I think I'll read it again. I think may have been the group's first number 1. If it
Yeah.
wasn't, it had to be maybe the second number 1.
Yeah, and I want to say there was even a song Gold City did way back before I came with them. I've Got a Feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
And I think Squire Parsons even wrote that. I
I think he
think.
did. I think he did.
But I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was either Robe of White or I've Got a Feeling that it went. Do you remember back in the day? I think Singing News had a traditional
Right.
gospel chart, and I think at top 40 and then a traditional, and I think it went number 1 in the traditional. I think.
Possible.
I think that's the way it worked.